Well, hello there everyone. Gerda Muller here, clinical psychologist and private practice success business coach and mentor. How are you going on this Thursday afternoon? As we wait for hopefully a couple of you to hop on and join me. I believe Abby is sharing in the other room. Abby, who is my very lovely and capable personal assistant, is sharing this video in some of our Facebook groups just to let our private Facebook group members also know that we are here. And by the way, if you are watching this live stream on my public page and you are an allied health professional, you are very welcome to join my closed private practice success for allied health professionals Facebook group. It is a very supportive community where people ask questions, and it's basically practice owners, right? Everybody that is in the trenches every day like you are. Hey Michelle, thanks for joining. That's doing this thing called private practice every day. They are in there. So if you search on the groups for private practice success for allied health professionals, then send me a join request. You have to answer the 3 questions and then I will add you to the group. Michelle, is this the first time that you are actually live here with me? Correct me if I'm wrong. I've got a pretty good memory, but for some reason I think this is the first time I actually have you live, or maybe it just has been the first time in a long time. But it's so great to have you live here. I hope that you've been having a fabulously fantastic Thursday so far. Let me just make sure that I'm here. I'm just looking in my page so that I can check up and find any questions and comments as we go through. We do not have a lot of time. Hey Laura, how are you going? Because I have been running late a bit today for various reasons, which means I need to really talk fast. All my kids are going to photobomb or video bomb, that's the word, this live stream when they come home from school, which is like in less than half an hour. And if you know me well, you know that I'm a bit of a talker, right? And this is a very important topic that I am talking about today. And I don't share this level of information that often, but you know, the more and more I hear these questions in Facebook groups, a lot of them not my own Facebook groups, which so I can really see that a lot of times the people in other groups that doesn't have a dedicated group for practice owners, you know, in business, get a lot of this stuff wrong, right? So I've just been called to talk more on subcontracting, because subcontracting, it's like a dirty word for a lot of people, right? It's like you're a bad practice owner if you've got subcontractors, because for some reason, at some level, you're trying to get out of paying people employee benefits or stuff like that. That's just the feeling I get. I might be wrong, right? And then I get a bit of offended, not really, but let's say that, because I've been using the subcontractor model for the last 10 years, and it really works for me. Now, I've done previous live streams on really how to tap into what's the best model for you, employees, room rental, subcontracting model. And of course, there's no right or wrong. It is what is aligned for you and your vision for your practice. And for me, it's always been subcontracting, right? I actually, when I just started in private practice, I didn't even know subcontracting existed. So my first 2 psychologists that I hired into my team were employees. And that's my son calling. And they were absolutely amazing employees. And I'll just warn you, he's probably going to keep on calling, right? And they were amazing employees. So it wasn't anything that they did that put me off from having employees, right? It is just the subcontracting model is just a fairer model for everybody involved for me. And that's all I'm going to say right now on my choice. Otherwise, I'm not going to get to my actual topic of conversation that I have as the title of this live stream. So I'm definitely pro subcontracting. Doesn't mean I won't do employees in my practice again, but that's just what's worked for me over the last 10 years, right? So there's a lot of people that are confused when it comes to subcontracting, and I think that is partly what gives it a bad name, right? Where people don't know how to manage their team members who are subcontractors, okay? And then they start doing the wrong thing because they're confused, they don't know. And what I find is a lot of practice owners want to give their clinical team everything possible, right? So they want to say yes, they want to be as supportive as possible, and that lands them into trouble. Why? Because they start treating their subcontractors as employees. There's a very, very fine line. Now, I'm just thinking of something else that I need to share, and I said I want to share with you my best tip around taking on subcontractors at your practice, and I'm going to share you more than one good tip, right? And I'll leave it up to you to decide which one is the best one. So many things. The first thing I would say is that you really need to start as you plan to continue, okay? I see people make this mistake over and over again. And then I've recently been thinking to myself, okay, good, you've exhausted this topic, right? That's like 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, you've exhausted this topic. People aren't going to be doing this stuff again. And then again, I hear of people doing these things. Just because they don't know what else to do. And that is, for example, somebody goes into private practice as a solo practice owner, their practice is doing really well, they're putting in the hard yards, they're getting great outcomes with their clients, they're building a reputation, they get all these referrals, hey Frank, how are you? And they're building up a wait list, and they go, okay, I need to take somebody else on board to come and help me to service these clients, right? Because as clinicians, we don't like having people on the wait list, because that means they're not getting the help that they need. And then they start going, okay, how do I do this thing? And obviously people follow a lot of different processes to hire. Again, that's a different topic of conversation, but a lot of people will go to their local networks and go, oh, there's somebody here, let me speak to this person that I know, maybe a colleague or peer from a previous workplace, and let's just get them to come on board. And a lot of people bring people on board, especially their first person, without even having a contract in place. Okay, big no-no. Doesn't matter how well you know that person, doesn't matter how well you are convinced that they are a great clinician, doesn't matter how well you get along with them, doesn't matter that you've been working with them for the last 10 years at public mental health and the two of you have now decided to start a private practice. You still need a contract, okay? If the one person is working for the other one, whether it's as an employee, room rental, or subcontracting, you need a contract. So again, coming back to you need to start as you plan to continue, right? Because I can guarantee you something's going to happen. Something's going to happen, all right? Somebody's going to want to do something or not do something or change something, and the contract is there to really set the rules of the game, right? To set the boundaries of this relationship. And, as psychologists, particularly, we're always very mindful of boundaries. So if you are bringing a colleague or a peer in to come and work at your practice without a contract, that is the worst type of boundary setting, right? It is not on. So even maybe tap into the clinical part of who you are and really go, boundaries is a good thing. They're there for a reason. And when there isn't a written legal contract to really set out the rules of the game, the rules of engagement for this relationship, there's bound to be problems, right? Because what happens? Diffusion of your boundaries start to occur, like they get blurry because they don't really exist. They might exist in our head, but they actually need to exist on paper. Hi stranger, hey Tess, how are you going? So it's so important that you make sure that you have a contract when you start to take on team members. All right, so that's the first mistake that you need to avoid at all costs. Doesn't matter how convinced you are, that it's going to work out. You know, people get married every day, every week people get married and they think it's going to work out, and it doesn't. And the same applies to business relationships, right? The same applies. And things are probably going to not work out much faster in business than in married life, because when there's an emotional connection, you're going to stick around longer, right? So please don't take the chance. Protect both yourself and the other person by having a legal agreement that sets out those boundaries. So that's the first thing, okay? The second thing is make sure that you have a proper contract, all right? So I know of people that would go, oh, maybe I'll just get a template on the internet. Maybe I'll just use this one that I actually got from a previous practice owner where I subcontracted, right? Or maybe I'll get one from a lawyer, and some people even pay good money and it's still not the right contract. So you need to make sure that where you get your contract, that it is somebody that knows all the restrictions. Hey, I'm not sure if it's Ingrid or Yuri that's here with me from South Africa, my parents. Nice to see you on the live stream. So make sure that the person that's doing your contract understand our industry, right? We are part of a highly regulated industry, and there's a lot of laws that apply to what it is that we do. They can't just take any template subcontracting arrangement and apply it to our industry. There's certain things that they need to know about it, right? So make sure that you get a proper, there's little hair flying around because Biscuit is walking up and down, my dog, and he's losing his hair, the old man. So make sure that you've got the right contract. So the first thing is you must have a contract, then you need to get the right one, and then you need to stick to it, right? Now he's having a contract, not sticking it to it. But even more importantly, and I'm thinking this might be my best tip. I mean, the best tip is to have a contract, okay? Having a contract is better than no contract, but doesn't matter what contract you do have. And this, yes, applies to subcontracting, but even to room rental agreements, even to employee contracts. You, as the practice owner, needs to know every word, every line, every clause, every page of the contract, back to front. Okay, and it's even more important when you have subcontractors. You need to know what's in it, and you need to know what it means, and you need to know how to apply it in day-to-day life. Because every day when you are making HR decisions in your practice, when you are making team, human resource decisions, it needs to come from the knowledge of what the contract says. That's the purpose of the contract. Remember, the contract outlines the relationship. So when somebody comes to you and says, oh, I was hoping you could pay for my business cards, you need to go back to the contract. You don't say yes because you want to be nice. You don't say no because you want to be a bitch. You need to go, okay, what does the contract state about business cards, you know, and then you make a decision based on that, because we need to be legally compliant. That protects everybody. So it doesn't it's not about wanting to be nice. It's about legally, what can I do? And I'm going to give you whatever I legally can, but there's certain things that I can't, especially if you are a subcontractor. And in a subcontracting arrangement, there's going to be certain responsibilities that you have as the subcontractor, and there's going to be certain responsibilities I have as the client. Because yes, as a practice owner, I'm actually a client of this business, of the ABN, right? Of the person that's contracting to me. So I've got certain roles and responsibilities. I need to know what it is. They need to know what theirs is. Now, let's face it, 9 out of 10 subcontracting clinicians, and again, it's not a judgment, this is just what happens, right? 9 out of 10 of them read the contract once and never again. Maybe they'll read it when they want to resign and they want to check how much notice they need to give. So you as a practice owner needs to know, and you need to take that responsibility whether you like it or not, because that's just how the cookie crumbles, that you need to know what's in the contract, because they're going to forget. All right. So I think our contractor agreement is more or less 19 pages long. It's a pretty full-on document. And, you know, I would be impressed if my subcontractors even remember half of what's in the contract, right? Which means that when they come to me for requests, when they come to me to discuss things around their role, their responsibilities and their expectations, I'm the one with the knowledge, right? And I can't every time go, oh, let me look up the contract. It's all in here, right? And maybe it's easier because I've been doing this for 10 years. Also because I'm very confident in my contract. Also because I've been reported to the ATO twice already and had to really defend the contract that I do have. And whenever I make a change, I only make a change to the contract after careful consideration with my HR provider, so I know exactly, even if I change 2 words, I know exactly what's changed, right? And you need to do the same. You need to know your contract back to front, because people will come in for discussions and really responsibilities on you, and some people might argue on the subcontractor as well. And yes, I know it is, because they are a business, right, as a subcontractor, but I also know they're human, and their biggest focus is on the service delivery, is on clients, that type of stuff, and they might just be a sole provider, right, one person in their business, so they're not going to be as business focused as us. So it's just about going, you need to take that responsibility, but you need to know what's in that contract so that you do not get caught off guard, so that you know exactly what needs to happen, so you can approach any conversations from a non-emotional place, but from a place of confidence first and foremost, because you know exactly what's in the contract, right? And you can explain it to them, and it's not an emotional discussion. It's just, these are the rules of the game. This is what we agreed on. This is why it's in there, all that type of stuff. So that's really, really very important. Anybody that's here live with me, hey Rebecca, thanks for hopping on. If you are live here with me and you've got a question, please ask away and share it with me. Whilst I wait for anybody to pop in a question, what I might do is tell you, if you don't know as yet, that next week, Tuesday, I believe it's the 26th of March, but it is next week, Tuesday, at 7 p.m. Queensland time. I think we're still in daylight saving, right? I think that finishes the 1st of April. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, everyone. But 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, I will be running a subcontracting masterclass where I'm going to cover 4 main things. Number 1, I'm going to share with you guys the actual 6 clauses that must be in your subcontractor agreement in order to ensure that this is a true subcontracting contract, right? Hey Melissa, how's the sunny coast today? So even if you have a contract already, maybe you're an existing practice owner, maybe you've had a lawyer or somebody draw up your contract. I think if I were you, I would still want to check, do you have those 6 clauses in that? That's the first thing that I'm going to share with you, all right? Secondly, I'm going to go, all right, this clause, this is what you need to do, right? Because having the right clause is only step 1. Step 2, beautiful, of course, Melissa, it's a sunny coast, right? Good to know. So step 2 is then, how do I operationalize these clauses on a day-to-day basis? It's one thing having the clause in there, but what does that mean? How do I operationalize it? What do I say yes to? What do I say no to? How do I operationalize that in my systems and processes, right? Because that's what you need to get right. If you get audited by the ATO, let's for argument's sake, somebody reports you to the ATO and says, oh, I wasn't a subcontracting arrangement, but I suspect I was a deemed employee. The ATO sends you a 43-item questionnaire. They ask you a question, you normally need to say yes or no, and then they're going to go, now provide demonstrable, I can't say the word, but demonstratable, I don't know, but you need to demonstrate evidence to prove your answer. So saying yes or saying no ain't sufficient, right? You need to give evidence, and that's what I'm going to share with you, because unless you can give evidence, it is considered a sham contract, and that's a big mistake that people make. So I'm going to talk you through the second thing is, so first, what's the clauses? Secondly, how to operationalize it. We're going to also talk about the balance of evidence test, which is really important to consider. So many people go, oh, I've got this contract, I hopped on to the ATO her website, and every time I get a different answer, well, that's going to explain that for you, right? And then we're going to have a extensive Q&A at the end. So I'm saying 90 minutes, but I'm going to avail myself in my diary for 2 hours, okay? Because I do not want to hop off on that webinar or workshop really until such time as everybody's questions have been answered. So if you are interested in joining, I will, when I'm hopping off on here, I'll put the link in the comment section. Please ensure that you enroll. You will get a link to join the Zoom session sent to you via email. You will also get lifetime access to this content, right? So the training, you'll be able to keep it. You'll get a link to it. So it's not listen to it once and it's gone, right? You can listen to it again and again, because this information is really important. If you take on a principal psychologist or a practice manager that's going to start helping you run the business, you can also use this training as part of their training for them to fulfill their role. Laura says, sounds amazing. It's my pleasure, Laura. Tess says, not a question, but I agree that we must know our contracts inside out. Yes, it makes it so much easier to be confident in your decision to say no or goodbye. I like that. Yes, because sometimes we have to say goodbye, right? And that confidence issue is so important, right? I speak to so many practice owners that tell me the moment somebody challenges something in the contract, their first reaction is anxiety. It's, oh my God, have I been doing the wrong thing? You know, and they stress, they can't sleep. You know, it just bothers them. And it's because they're amazing people, right? They want to do the right thing. And for me, if that is you, you need to do this training, right? I can very confidently have a conversation with someone because I know my contract, I know the laws behind it, you know, I've been through the ringer, being tested, all of that stuff, so I can confidently tell people it. I do not have to sit with those, oh my goodness, what if this is wrong thing? And I refer to that as standing in the conviction of your own belief around what it is that you are doing, and that is in integrity. And that's what I want to be able to do, because if you can stand in the conviction of your own belief that this contract is legally compliant, is legally enforceable, you will be conveying that to your subcontractor, right? And they are way more likely, much more likely to then accept that this is how it is. Which is how it is, right? Because you're doing the right thing, you've got the right contract and you're sticking to it and operationalizing it the right way, right? The moment you start to become unclear, the moment you are uncertain, it's like you're leaving that door open, and then people's going to start pushing and they're going to start nagging at it, right? Because it's like, if you're not certain, maybe I'm right then, okay? So you need to have that certainty, and it's not about just shutting people down. That's not what I'm saying, right? It's about having a conversation. Remember, I said we can't expect them to know everything the way we do. So you need to have that patience as well. And I know that can get hard when you've got 10, 15 people in your team and you're having the same darn conversation with, 5 of them at the same time, because maybe they want to change their days, or they want to, whatever the conversation is that's coming up. So it's also important that you maybe, incorporate stuff around the contract into your training, into your supervision, into your PD days, because it's going to make it much easier for you as well. So again, it's not shutting people down. It's about educating them. It's about educating our next generation, educating our clinical team, educating clinicians that maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years are going to start their own private practice, right? In terms of how this actually works, how to do this in a compliant way, how to do this in a way that is in integrity, how to do this in a way that's valued aligned, and how to have these conversations in an adult way, in a non-emotional way, in a rational discussion way, because that's what it is. It's the law, and we need to stick to these rules and regulations, right? And it starts by knowing what it is. All right. Hey, Shannon, how are you? All right, so that is what I wanted to share with you guys. I will pop in the link to the training for you in the comment section. It's going to be very full on. I do recommend that if you're joining the training live, to make sure you've got maybe a glass of wine will be appropriate, or a tea, or something, or a coffee even, unless it's going to keep you up. And make sure that you're there to give your full attention. It's going to be very full on, but as I said, it's going to be recorded. If you can't make it live, you are able to email me all your questions. I will ask it on your behalf and answer it on my behalf, of course, and it's all going to be recorded. Can't wait to speak to you then if you are joining us. If you're not, hope you're doing well. Have a fantastic rest of the week. And remember, as always, all you need to do is say yes to your very own ultimate level 5 private practice. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.